What's up, horror fam? Welcome back to the channel. So for today's episode, we have Sweeney and Margaret Qualley starring in two separate novels that are going to be coming to theaters soon. And we have our very first look at the upcoming film Grafted, which I feel is almost similar to The Substance, but you let me know what you think. Let's get into the details. So The Housemaid starring Sweeney releasing Christmas 2025. So this film is going to be based off the best-selling novel going by the same name, The Housemaid. It is getting featured film adaptation from director Paul Feig, and Lionsgate has set a release date in stone today. The Housemaid will arrive in wide theatrical release on December 25th, 2025. In Paul Feig's suspense thriller The Housemaid, which adapts Freda McFadden's novel, Millie is a struggling young woman who is relieved to get a fresh start as a housemaid to Nina and Andrew, a wealthy couple. Going on through the rest of this article, it doesn't get into much more of the actual premise for this, so I did do a little bit of digging on this. So the additional summary I could find, which adds a bit more context to what this movie is going to be about, is The Housemaid is a novel by Freda McFadden that follows the story of Millie Calloway, a young woman with a criminal past who is employed as a housekeeper by Nina Winchester, a wealthy woman with a seemingly mental health condition. The novel explores themes of discipline and power and victimhood and abuse. Millie works as a domestic worker for the Winchesters family, and despite their luxurious lifestyle, she observes the tension and dysfunction within the family. I think that adds a little bit more context to what this movie could be about. You have one person who has a criminal past who's coming into this family, probably looking for a new start, trying to keep her past hidden from this family, but this family has their own set of problems, and I can see these two colliding and obviously causing an issue, especially when the lady of the house has a mental health condition. That going along with the criminal past of the newly hired Millie, I don't see those two mixing together. Very much oil and water situation that we could see. Michelle Moran also stars in The Housemaid. Rebecca Sunshine adapted McFadden's psychological thriller novel, published in 2022. The novel was an international bestseller, and then there's a link where you can go grab the book. The Housemaid is actually a 3-book series with the third installment published earlier this year. The sequels are titled The Housemaid's Secret and The Housemaid is Watching. And then this is a cover of the book that we're talking about that's going to be turned into a film. Now, it will be interesting to see if this film happens to be successful. Will we see these two sequel books also turned into a film? We have seen that happen in the past. Typically, though, if there is a series of books, whether it's 2 or 3, they will come right out and say, we're making a series of movies based on this set of books. Now, that isn't the case here. Thus far, we only have word on the first film for the first book and then nothing on these last 2. But again, Sweeney has been making her rounds in the horror thriller genre for quite some time. I wouldn't be surprised if this one happens to be somewhat successful. Even if it's a minor success, I can still see them coming back and saying, let's just round this out, let's finish out this series, and let's make these last 2 books into films as well. Even if they happen to go straight to streaming, whether that gets picked up by Shudder or any other of the various streaming platforms, I can see that happening just to have additional content out there on their platforms. So more to come on this one, but we won't see this one again until Christmas 2025. So we have well over a year before this one comes out, a year and just a few days. So once we get that first teaser trailer and full trailer, along with behind the scene images, we will be sure to bring those to you here at Reign of Horror. All right, moving on to our next topic, we have Victorian Psycho. A24 picks up the thriller starring Margaret Qualley. Again, another book novel that's being turned into a film. This seems to be a pattern here that we're coming across. Obviously, we know Stephen King's work is constantly turned from novel and stories to films and TV series. So we're starting to see this happen more and more often. I'm wondering if we're going to see that, whether this is just a trend going into the next couple of years, or if this is going to be a long-term trend where this is something we're going to see over the next 5 to 10 years, where there's all these previous books that were bestsellers and they were great. Now we're going to turn them into films. My only concern with that is keeping them true to the source material. Once you start deviating from the books, those hardcore fans of the books are going to notice once they see the film if things are left out, if things are changed. And sometimes those films don't necessarily hit as hard as the books do. So with this one here and the one we just covered, again, hopefully they stay true to the source material and give the fans what they're looking for. Now, I have no delusions. I understand it's hard to take a book and trim it down and fit every little detail into a hour and a half to 2 hour and 15-minute movie. But there again, you don't necessarily have to keep it to one movie. If you feel there's enough content to keep an audience interested, make it into 2 films. It just makes sense. So back to this one. Production is set to kick off early next year on the psychological horror thriller Victorian Psycho, and Deadline reports that A24 has pre-bought domestic rights to the project. Fresh off Qualley Fagot's The Substance, which earned her a Golden Globe nomination, Margaret Qualley will star alongside Thomasine McKenzie. Set in 1958, the movie follows a young, eccentric governess named Winifred Noddy, who arrives at the remote Gothic manor known as Ensnor House. Winifred's responsibilities include teaching the children table manners and educating them about the family's history, all whilst hiding her psychopathic tendencies. As Winifred assimilates into life at Ensor House, staff members begin to inexplicably disappear, and the owners of the estate begin to wonder if there is something amiss about their new governess. Thomasine McKenzie will play a nursemaid who befriends the eccentric new governess. Zachary Wiggin is directing from a script by author Virginia Fido, based on her upcoming novel of the same name. The book releases February 4th, 2025. And we have the cover of the book here that's going to be coming out, as I just mentioned, in February 2025. So the book hasn't even released yet, and it's already getting a film adaptation. And we don't even have the details as to when this film will be coming out. I'd imagine they're not going to wait long for the book to come out as far as starting production. They might start production soon after, but I can't see them starting it before the book comes out. You run the risk of any spoilers from the book coming out, behind the scenes photos that might lead to what could transpire. I'm imagining the book's going to come out February 4th, 2025, and probably a couple months after that we may see production. But this looks to be an early 2026 film release, in my opinion. Coming from A24, we might see a theatrical release. I doubt that. It will probably be right to a streaming platform. Things like this, though, I do wish we would get theatrical releases, even if they were limited, in order to shine some light, not just on the horror genre, but on some of these subgenres as well within the horror space. All right, so on to our last topic. Grafted trailer is a malicious cosmetic cocktail of body horror. Now, we all know The Substance has recently come out, and just by the name of this one alone, it kind of takes you down the path of, is this similar to The Substance? Is this just piggybacking off the success of The Substance? It's not. And in fact, I did try to look into this one a bit more, because it seemed very odd that this one wouldn't have come up either prior to The Substance releasing or soon after about hearing this film. So this film did come out in mid-September 2024, but it was a very limited release. I can only find that it was released in New Zealand, and it didn't make much of anything for the box office in New Zealand. It barely broke 15,000. Now, this one here, from my understanding, is going to be coming, as it states here, right to Shudder on January 24th, 2025. So this will not be getting a theatrical release in the US, the UK, or any other region. Again, all I could find where it was released theatrically was in New Zealand. Now, that doesn't mean much to me. In my opinion, is that good? No, that's not good if you look just at the basic numbers and the facts that many people look at when it comes to box office releases. Now, we have seen films go from production right to Shudder, right to a streaming platform, and they turn out to be great films, and then they start to get a lot of attention. I will always point to this franchise. You guys have heard me point to this franchise multiple times, and that's the Terrifier franchise. If you look to see where Terrifier started and look where it's at today, that in itself is a win. That in itself is a win, not just for those who are involved in creating the Terrifier franchise, but for those of us at the horror genre, because you start off from a very low budget film, and again, it garners a lot of cult followings, and then it garners more financing to make a bigger, better film. And now I believe the third film, after its re-release on Christmas Day in a few regions, it's looking to cross over $100 million for its global box office. I think if anyone were to go back and look at Terrifier, the franchise, or Terrifier 3, especially studio heads, they may have looked at this film and said, there's no way that this film is going to garner $100 million at the global box office. They may have said half that, maybe a quarter of that, but not $100 million. So Just because this one didn't make much in a one region release doesn't mean it can't find its audience and a cult following on Shudder. So getting into the details of this article, Shudder has released a new trailer for Sasha Rainbow's feature debut Grafted, a malicious cosmetic cocktail body horror with squelching sounds to enhance the horror. Grafted is set to premiere on Shudder on January 24th, 2025. In the film, quote, Chinese scholarship student Wei travels to New Zealand to study medical research at a prestigious university. Shy, introverted, and hiding a genetic facial birthmark, Wei is shunned by her social butterfly cousin Angela and her glamorous friends. Determined to change her fate, Wei immerses herself in her late father's research, working on a revolutionary skin grafting procedure that could cure her deformity. As her experiments take a dark turn, she becomes more dangerous and unhinged, willing to eliminate anyone who threatens to her secret. We will be doing a trailer review and reaction for this film, and the link for that video will be down in the description below, so make sure to go over there, check it out, watch it along with us, let us know what you think in the comments section. Daniel Kirkland called Grafted in his review, quote, a malicious cosmetic cocktail that's 2 parts body horror and 1 part Mean Girls that deserves to be seen and celebrated. Sasha Rainbow creates a moving, universal experience through a desperate characters and vicious premise. Rainbow is definitely someone to Lou. Sasha Rainbow's bold and brave work in her short form and documentary work has transitioned seamlessly into her impressive debut feature, said Shudder SVP of Acquisitions and Production, Emily Gatto, previously. It's no surprise that Grafted is gripping, slicing past a high body count with a high original take on the body horror subgenre, with sharp social commentary that strikes a nerve out for, and a filmmaker who will hopefully continue to disrupt the status quo through grisly stories that push the audience buttons and give the horror genre a necessary facelift. We will put a link to our trailer review and reaction in the description of this video below, so make sure again to go there and check it out. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for today's episode. I just want to extend a thank you to all the new subscribers to the channel and those commenting on the videos. It is greatly appreciated. We are doing our best to respond to all your comments. So again, keep them coming, and if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and let us know what you think down in the comment section of today's episode. What are you thinking about The Housemaid, Victorian Psycho, and are you looking forward to Grafted coming soon, January on Shudder? Otherwise, we will see you at the next one. Peace.